How to create an Ableton set using acoustic instruments, electronic instruments, some samples, and create a track like this viral video I posted on Instagram recently. Hey everyone, this is Max. I'm a classical trained percussionist focusing on combining my acoustic instruments with all kind of electronic stuff. Today's video is the first episode of a three-part series where I talk about my different live looping setups that I mostly use for my tracks that I post on social media, which is probably where you know the video I showed at the beginning from. Having a quick look at the setup, I have my vibraphone here as acoustic instrument recorded by a microphone that's placed over here. I have my Ableton Push 2 to control everything in Ableton, and I have my Native Instruments Maschine here to record a live beat. Alright, first step is I'm going to show you my Ableton setup, how everything is organized. We have 4 different tracks here. The first one contains a sample which I got from a track by the pianist Ale. I just discovered that on Spotify and decided to sample like a few seconds for this track. Second one is a MIDI track actually, where my Maschine plugin is inside, so I can record a live beat. And we have 2 tracks actually because I want to do something with the double bass bow on the vibraphone, and then I want to play a little melody with a mallet. And both should be played like at the same time, so I need 2 tracks to make this happen. Okay, as you can see, all of the tracks except the track with the samples, because we are not going to record something in here, we have no input, are mapped with the red lights, so they are ready to record. This is very important because that gives me the chance, if we look over to the Ableton Push, we see these red pads, and these show like free clip places where I have the chance to record something when I push them later in the track. We will talk about that in a second. Track 3 and 4 come from my external microphone that records the vibraphone. This is placed in input number 3. You can also see now that it records my voice also in the room. So we see it's like input 3 for both of those. It's important to mark this auto, so because I use the headphones to hear the sample also and the beat later, so I can also hear like the monitoring of what I'm playing live on the vibraphone then. Sounds fun, but maybe a bit complicated also, so let's get through like the recording process exactly the same way I did it in the video, step by step, and let's have like a talk about everything afterwards. So in track number 1, we see those 2 samples actually. They're from the same track, and indeed it's like the first sample is only like the short introduction of the piano sample that I used later on. The reason is like I didn't loop this section like the very first beginning. I only wanted this to appear like one time at the beginning, and then the rest of the piano loop, like a pattern kind of thing, will follow. So the first sample sounds like this. And this is like kind of an introduction, and then the track starts. If we come to the next line, this is like the main piano sample that is like accompanying the whole track. So before we start recording something, it's very important that you know one thing. It's like this section here where we set like 1 bar, and this is like the quantization of our clips, which means like whenever I hit like the pad here for recording something, this shows like how long Ableton waits to actually start the recording, or if we like, you know, recorded something and push it again, how long it waits to stop the recording again. This is like, if we drop down it, you can choose like super many different options, like 8 bars, 4 bars, 2 bars, etc., etc. That depends a lot on how you build your track, if you work like in 4-bar phrases or like 8-bar phrases or even shorter ones. Or you just want to, you know, record like tiny snippets and stuff like that. So this totally depends on what you prefer. But what is like very important is like, if we look over here, like they into the clips that I already showed you, like the piano sample, you can see like quantize is global. Global means like it's the same quantization as the whole Ableton set is in, which means when I hit the button to start like this tiny introduction, bing, 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 you remember that? And I immediately after that hit like the piano kind of loop, it's like exactly starting at the next one of my track. Actually, I can switch on the metronome for a second so I can show you this in detail. I prefer to switch it off again later because the piano loop isn't exactly in time with the quarter beats of the metronome, which I like, but this makes it a bit complicated when the metronome is running, you know, behind the recording stuff. But for now, let's press play. We can hear the metronome, and I start like the first clip in the middle of a bar, and it starts at the 1. And now, next. So what I did basically is like in the middle of a bar, I just started one clip, and I know the first clip will only play one time, so I have to start the second one immediately, like while the first clip is still playing, and then it's like, you know, blinking, so I know, okay, this one is next, and once the next bar starts, it like automatically switches to the second clip, which is great. All right, so let's start recording some clips. I started with the double bass bow in the video. We're going to do the same here. I played a E flat and a D flat. And everything I have to do is like start the piano loop because this is like the reference I'm recording to, and then starting like to hit the pad here, like one of the 3 clips, and start playing like on the next one of the beat and make sure like I hit the pad in time to stop the recording. Because this is like a recording with a microphone, I have to make sure like not to, you know, be too fast and make some accidental noises because everything gets recorded to the clip. And you might see me use like the second row of the pads here in this track where I'm recording, but this is like only for my personal organization. You could also use the first pad here on this track, but the concept of Ableton is like all the time working in these horizontal lines. So if I want to start a track like in a DJ kind of way, let's say I, you know, recorded something very nice and I want to play this track like with a computer and nothing else. Like one day, I have the chance to only activate like one scene after another here and have like every track in one row played that belong to each other. And because what I'm recording now belongs to the second clip of the piano stuff here, I'm going to record this in the second row. Can you hear that? It's perfectly in time with the bar. The bow loop started exactly at the perfect place, and because I, you know, had the chance to move my arm under the other, I had the chance to stop the recording in time. So it's like starting to loop and play on the next one, and I have like one thing that is already looping. So I now have time, like talking of a live performance or of a live recording as I did in the Instagram video, to like put the bow away and to go over it like maybe the Maschine here, because next step is like I'm going to record a beat. Having a closer look into the Maschine plugin for a second, we can see like this pattern number 2 we are using now is already a 2-bar loop because I want to record like a 2-bar beat phrase for now. And my Maschine is set to record, which means I'm not recording the Maschine into an Ableton clip like acoustically. I could do that with like adding another acoustic track and using like input from Maschine. So everything I play on Maschine is like directly recorded as an audio clip into Ableton. But for now it's like a good thing. I have the chance to like hit undo if I didn't like my version of the beat, the first one, and I can redo it. And even if I wish to record this as an audio clip later for like any kind of live performance or like exporting anything, I can do this in the post-production, so no worries. Also, very important, in the Instagram video, I was using like a lot of like effect pedals, like my Maris favorite delay and reverb pedal. But this needs like extra audio tracks where I use external audio effect settings and stuff. And I thought this might get too complicated for now. I'm going to make an extra video on this later. So basically we see our 2 empty bars in the Maschine running here. I played like my 2 notes with the bow, like stop the recording, it's getting looped, I put away the bow, I hear it, and I start recording my beat. And as you can see, it directly recorded what I played on the beat. And if I like, you know, if it wasn't a live performance and if I would say like, oh, maybe there's like one hi-hat or one snare like a bit off or something, I could like just, you know, grab my mouse and like, you know, pull it wherever I wanted. But I, you know, usually I prefer like the imperfection, like, you know, I'm beside the beat, obviously a part of times, but this is like the special feeling that I prefer. So for the last section, we need to record this Glockenspiel kind of melody. I'm using this xylophone hard plastic mallet for this that I usually use for my pitch bend work on the vibraphone. By the way, if you didn't watch my pitch bend tutorial already, make sure to watch it directly after this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. So I just need to follow the 2-bar phrase that I pre-recorded, and whenever I feel ready, I press start to record in the middle of the 2nd bar. That's very important because, as you remember, we quantized to 1 bar. So if I would hit the record button in the middle of the 1st bar, it would start recording at the 2nd bar, and then maybe the harmonies wouldn't fit too well. So I need to make sure to hit the record button in the middle of the 2nd bar. Alright, so as I told you, this is the first episode of a 3-part series. So once the next video is out, I'm going to link this up here. So if you like the idea of live looping but don't know how to get started with your own setup, come over to my Patreon page where we host like community projects, listening sessions, and hang out online to encourage us working on all different kinds of experiments and projects. It's fun. Also, if you didn't already, please subscribe my channel, like this video, and share it with all your friends. Thanks so much and see you next time.